Welcome to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. Our top story: the mysterious death of Chinese star Yu Menglong is fueling public outrage, with reports pointing to torture, slaughter, and a cover-up linked to powerful political families. Even as China clamps down with sweeping censorship, international media and grassroots investigators are keeping the story in the spotlight. U.S. Ambassador to China David Perdue affirming that President Trump hasn't wavered on Taiwan. The administration continues to uphold the One China policy, even as some recent moves seem less friendly to Taipei.
We don't want any coercion, but we want this resolved peacefully.
And China may have more ships, but the U.S. Navy holds the real power. Nuclear carriers and global reach keep America dominant for now. China's rapid growth is closing the gap. The death of Chinese actor and singer Yu Menglong has gripped the public for nearly a month. With nearly 30 million followers on China's social media platform Weibo, Yu died under suspicious circumstances on September 11th in Beijing. Authorities were quick to label it an accident, a fall from a building, and ruled out homicide. But many in the public remain unconvinced. Online, disturbing videos and posts are circulating, with claims that Yu was controlled, tortured, and even gang raped before his death. NTD cannot independently verify these claims. What's more, individuals reportedly linked to the case include powerful figures, among them the alleged illegitimate son of top Chinese Communist Party leader Cai Qi, a descendant of former Premier Li Peng, and other children of high-ranking CCP officials. Chinese authorities have launched a sweeping censorship campaign, scrubbing Yu's name from domestic platforms and silencing voices in the entertainment industry across the mainland and Hong Kong. Abroad, a coordinated disinformation effort appears to be muddying the waters. Still, grassroots investigators continue to dig for answers. Online, Yu's death remains a trending topic, defying state suppression. Major Western outlets, including Foreign Policy and the BBC, have covered the case. The controversy has also reignited interest in other high-profile celebrity deaths in recent years, cases marked by similarly troubling patterns and some overlapping names. Now, more than 225,000 people have signed a petition demanding justice for Yu. On October 17th, his former mentor, Sun Do-rong from Taiwan, will hold a large-scale Buddhist ceremony to honor his spirit. Now, a deeper dive into the case and what's fueling all the speculation around Yu Menglong's death.
Yu Menglong, 37, was a Chinese actor with 27 million social media followers and a decade-long, scandal-free career. Friends say he was friendly and approachable. Sudden news of his death on September 11th stunned fans in the entertainment world. Videos circulating online reportedly captured Yu's last moments, with one showing him hanging upside down from a window, crying out in pain. The case drew global attention after reports suggested one of the perpetrators was the illegitimate son of a top Chinese political figure, Cai Qi, a current member of China's top ruling committee. Online chatter exploded in China and across Chinese-speaking communities worldwide. The story has sparked over 20 billion online interactions, yet no official media or industry figures in China addressed the case publicly. Even the wife of a prominent Hong Kong entertainment mogul responded during a social media live stream, typing in the chat, quote, "This matter cannot be discussed." Amid public outrage, Chinese police eventually issued a statement on September 21st, claiming Yu died in an accidental fall while intoxicated. Beyond that, details remain scarce. The statement also said 3 alleged rumor mongers were punished. These rumors included claims that Yu was lured to a powerful figure's party, sexually assaulted, and driven to suicide. Other circulating claims suggested torture. Yu's nails allegedly pulled out, his stomach disemboweled, and he is said to have been thrown from a building. But the most widely discussed claim, Cai Qi's illegitimate son's involvement, was completely left out of the police statement. The official handling sparked public outrage. People are raising more questions about Yu's death. Like, why did attendees at the party wait to sue the alleged rumor mongers until after the police issued a statement while staying silent beforehand, and why Yu ended up jumping to his death from someone else's home after the party? The deregistration of Yu's studio 2 months before his death announcement has also raised serious questions. The studio initially confirmed his death and published a statement from his mother, but records show the studio had been deregistered in July, casting doubt on the legitimacy of the statement and the information it provided. Ordinary people conducting independent investigations say they see similar patterns in other deaths of Chinese celebrities linked to the same entertainment agency as Yu. Now, people in China who are independently digging into the case are focusing on a few key claims. These include reports that Yu was disemboweled before his death and may have swallowed a USB drive containing evidence of red elites allegedly using Chinese celebrities to launder money.
From hitting Taiwan with a 20% U.S. tariff to holding back key defense aid to targeting half of the island's microchips, the Trump administration has taken a series of high-stakes actions on Taiwan. With Beijing ramping up military threats, many are asking, would the U.S. actually step in if China launched an invasion? U.S. Ambassador to China David Perdue has pushed back on those concerns, saying President Trump's Taiwan policy remains unchanged. Here's Perdue speaking on CNBC's Squawk Box last week.
With regard to Taiwan, he has said very clearly, we're not changing the one China policy. We are going to adhere to the Taiwan Relations Act, the 3 communiques, and the 6 assurances that were done under Reagan. Look, this has served the world very well. We don't want any coercion, but we want this resolved peacefully.
What Perdue brought up is Washington's playbook for handling Taiwan-related issues. In short, the U.S. recognizes there's only one China, but it doesn't agree with Beijing claiming sovereignty over Taiwan, and it doesn't see Taiwan as an independent state either. Back in July, CNN first released an audio clip of then presidential candidate Trump from 2024. Many saw it as one of his clearest warnings to Beijing about Taiwan. Take a listen.
I'm with President Xi of China. But I said the same thing to them. I said, if you go into Taiwan, I'm going to bomb the shit out of Beijing. He thought I was crazy. He said, hey, yay, you stay there, Hong. I said, I have no choice at that time. They're going to bomb me. And he didn't believe me either, except 10%. And 10% is all you need. In fact, 5% would have been okay, too. And we never had a problem. We would have never had a problem.
So what's driving people to question whether President Trump's stance on Taiwan has shifted? Just last week, Commerce Secretary Lutnick pitched a plan to split Taiwan's microchip production with the U.S., aiming for a 50-50 arrangement. Taiwan produces 95% of the world's most advanced chips and sees the industry as its lifeline. But Taiwan's Vice Premier Cheng Li-chun denied any discussion of such a split with Washington, saying the talks focused on lowering the U.S. tariff on Taiwanese goods. Currently, Taiwanese exports face a 20% duty. What's more, the Washington Post reports the Trump administration held back a $400 million arms package to Taiwan. In a statement, the White House says the decision isn't final. By law, the U.S. is required to provide Taiwan with the means to defend itself, and it doesn't need to consult Beijing before selling arms to Taiwan. China may lead in ship count, but the U.S. Navy's advantage lies in global reach, nuclear-powered carriers, and deep combat experience. As tensions rise in the Indo-Pacific, including the Taiwan Strait, both navies race to adapt, but compared to China, America's naval infrastructure and logistics capabilities remain unmatched. Here's a closer look at how the U.S. and China stack up at sea.
When it comes to aircraft carriers, the United States still leads by a wide margin. The U.S. Navy operates 11 nuclear-powered supercarriers, each able to launch a wide range of aircraft with speed, endurance, and firepower anywhere in the world. China, by contrast, has 3 carriers, all conventionally powered, with only its newest, called Fujian, using modern catapult launch systems. But China's Navy still lags in strike range, aircraft capacity, and the complex operations needed to sustain carriers on long missions. China now has the world's largest Navy, at least by number of ships. As of 2025, Beijing claims a fleet of 370 warships, compared with the U.S. Navy's 296. But bigger doesn't always mean stronger. The U.S. relies on nuclear-powered submarines, faster, stealthier, and able to stay at sea longer. China fields more diesel-electric subs, better suited for coastal defense and regional operations. The true test of naval power isn't just numbers. It's how well you fight, coordinate, and keep those ships supplied. That's where the U.S. holds a critical edge. Global logistics, advanced sensors, and decades of experience coordinating large-scale Navy operations. China is improving rapidly, but still faces hurdles in command, control, maintenance, and long-range operations. As tensions rise in the Western Pacific, especially around Taiwan and the South China Sea, China's proximity gives it advantages. But the U.S. Navy is adapting too, investing in unmanned surface and underwater vehicles, smarter force distribution, and addressing industrial base constraints while increasing shipbuilding.
The U.S. top diplomat to Panama, Kevin Cabrera, is calling China's influence in the country malignant, describing it as corrupt and deceptive. China has strongly criticized his remarks. His comments came during an interview with local media. When asked to explain why he called China's influence malign, the U.S. ambassador pointed to a dispute involving Hong Kong-based company CK Hutchison, which Panama accuses of owning hundreds of millions of dollars. He also accused Chinese officials of bribing local authorities to boost Beijing's political influence, something U.S. diplomats would not do. The ambassador also hinted that the U.S. wouldn't issue visas for those corrupted Panamanian officials. He also accused Chinese infrastructure projects of harming Central America's environment. China's embassy in Panama pushed back against the U.S. accusations. Australia signed a major new defense pact with Papua New Guinea on Monday. It's the first of its kind in more than 70 years. The move comes as Papua New Guinea looks to curb China's growing influence in the Pacific. Here's Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese on the treaty agreement.
This treaty contains a mutual defence obligation similar to Australia's ANZUS treaty commitments, where we declare that in the event of an armed attack on either of our countries, we would both act to meet the common danger. Both our nations have also agreed not to undertake any activities or enter into any agreements that would compromise the implementation of this treaty.
Papua New Guinea sits in a strategic spot just north of Australia. It's a vital part of the Pacific that's drawn interest from Beijing in recent years. The area could serve as a potential foothold for China to expand its military presence during a conflict, including a possible invasion of Taiwan. On top of that, having a stake in Papua New Guinea would have given China a way to fend off military from the U.S. or its Western allies within the Indo-Pacific region. By signing this pact, Australia, a key U.S. ally, aims to strengthen security ties and prevent China from spreading its influence in the region. Papua New Guinea approved this treaty last week. The agreement on Monday marks a major step in reshaping the balance of power across the Indo-Pacific. Coming up, speaking at a Capitol Hill forum, a Canadian professor emeritus highlighted human rights abuses in China and their possible influence on the West. Hear her insights after the break here on China in Focus. Welcome back to China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. The long arm of the Chinese Communist Party reaching into the West to hide its human rights abuses and persecutions. NTD's Steve Lance sat down with Maria Chung, professor emeritus at the University of Manitoba, to talk about her recent appearance on Capitol Hill. The theme of the forum was Faith Under Siege, with a particular focus on China. Let's hear more from her.
You've been studying human rights abuses for the past few decades when it comes to China. A lot of people, they think, China's economy is growing, we're seeing the architecture grow there and the skyscrapers going up, but yet there's still a tremendous problem when it comes to human rights. What have you found in your research?
I have done two major research projects on, especially on Falun Gong practitioners. So one was in Canada and another one was across continents in US, in UK, and in Canada. And I look into their lived experiences of being persecuted in China, and also the implications of the torture that they experience. So I look into the psychological impacts of what they have experienced over the persecution in China.
Talk to us about the scope and the scale of this persecution against the Falun Gong, and is this something that is still taking place as we speak?
It definitely is taking place as we speak. In 1999, Jiang Zemin ordered a crackdown of Falun Gong, and
the dictator at the time.
The dictator at the time, yeah, and he ordered complete eradication of Falun Gong practitioners. The scale is large, and the scope definitely has a wide varieties of tactics and ways to eradicate the group. And it is not only eradicating the group in China, but also the Chinese Communist regime, the CCP, wanted to eradicate a group overseas, like outside China.
You talk about eradication, we're talking about forced labor, but also murder and torture. So with that said, have you seen sort of the extension of the long arm of the Chinese Communist Party coming into places like the United States?
Oh, absolutely. In North America and all over the world. And we know that...
what are they doing?
From the consulate, there is a special unit that particularly surveillance over Falun Gong practitioners and also sabotage their activities. So these are seen in affidavit of high-level Chinese officials who were working at the embassy, like in Australia before. And so transnational repression for the Falun Gong community is not new. It started at the very beginning of the persecution, started with very defamative, demonizing propaganda messages against Falun Gong all over the world outside China. And the consulate themselves came out to hand out booklets and, defaming and demonizing the group. But later on, they got stronghold with the Chinese organizations, so there are proxies who are already helping them to do these things, and the Chinese consulate just stay at the back and being more clandestine and more sophisticated strategies.
So in your own terms, what is Falun Gong?
Falun Gong is a peaceful spiritual practice that uphold truth, compassion, and tolerance. So it's a mind-body meditation practice, and have practitioner upholding these principles of truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance in their daily life. So it's very non-violent and very peaceful and apolitical.
So what would lead the CCP to go after a group that practices truthfulness, compassion, and tolerance peacefully?
Yeah, that reflects a lot of the nature of CCP. That first, when they found Falun Gong grew exponentially in the 90s, that exceeded the Chinese Communist Party members, because their official count, even though Falun Gong did not, and even today there is no membership, but they send undercover people to all the open sites in China and counted how many practitioners, and their official figure said 70 million. And the Falun Gong community said there were 100 million people were practicing Falun Gong at that time. So definitely it's a big group of citizens who are practicing something to change their heart. And CCP is based on Marxist-Leninist ideologies, and the leader, Jiang Zemin, when he learned that Falun Gong practitioner exceeded the CCP membership, he definitely was very jealous.
I mean, that's a staggering number. 100 million, that's more than a quarter of the United States population all practicing this Buddhist-based meditation.
It's very popular, and because there's no membership, people just go out to the square and practice it after work or before they went to work. So lots of people found it is really healing their physical health, their mental health, and help them to be better person. So they really like it and becomes words of mouth. Many people practice it.
Professor Emeritus Maria Chung, really appreciate you joining us.
You're very welcome.
A China hawk is set to become Japan's next prime minister. Japan's ruling party has elected a staunch conservative and outspoken China critic as its new leader. This likely makes her the nation's next prime minister after her predecessor resigned. Here's more.
Security Minister Sanaya Takaichi defeated her moderate rival by 185 votes to 156. The victory makes her Japan's first female party president and almost certainly its first female prime minister. Takaichi is an admirer of former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher and a protege of the late Shinzo Abe, who was assassinated in 2022. Her win is expected to reassure her party's nationalist base, but may complicate diplomacy with China and South Korea. China's foreign ministry reacted cautiously, calling the outcome, quote, Japan's internal affair. After her victory, Takaichi called for unity and renewal inside a party battered by scandal and electoral setbacks.
That's all for today's China in Focus. I'm Tiffany Meyer. If you have any feedback on the show or have something you'd like to see us cover, send us an email at chinainfocus@ntd.com. We'd love to hear from you. For on-the-clock original news coverage, visit us at ntd.com or download our NTD app. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.